Hey, so I'm going to talk about Star Wars from Data East. This machine was from, I guess, released in 1992, and they made a bunch of them. And we'll talk about it from a rec room, home use collector perspective and how it holds up, and talk about some of the game features in this specific machine. And we'll do some gameplay video, and that way, if you find yourself in the market for one of these machines, maybe you'll find this useful or helpful, hopefully. So. We bought this machine from a medical professional. He had listed on Craigslist. I bought it a few hours after he listed it. He had it in storage. I guess he had pulled it out of his rec room. And when he had purchased it, he had gotten it from TNT Amusements, who had gone through the machine and done some maintenance. And I guess it had come to TNT from off of a route. So it was a routed machine that was on location somewhere that then was home use and has been home use for the last 5 or 10 years. And in condition-wise, from a 1992 machine, it's in pretty good condition. There's some flaws here. You can see these marks on the cabinet, and then there's some rust on the rail that I never really took the time to replace the rails because of the stock rails. I put coin taker LEDs in it, and I went ahead and put these mirror blades from these pin bits that we found those. And one of the things I thought was interesting about this particular one is that the R2-D2 wasn't yellowed. Oftentimes, if it's in a window, then you'll have some yellowing from UV on the whites there in R2-D2. And then the other thing I thought was pretty cool was that the Death Star was the actual Death Star instead of the crappy reproduction. So it has the lines in it and a little extra detail. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, we've had this machine for about 2 years, and I'll be honest, I think I'm the only one that plays it. Now, my history here is that I had played this machine, fed a lot of quarters into one of these machines that was on a route in a movie theater near me. And my family, my kids are they're 5 and 9. They're both Star Wars fans, but they typically just don't play it. If they're going to play one of our pinball machines, and they don't play pinball a whole lot. They play Minecraft and things that other kids their age play, but they generally pick one of the blingier games like our Star Trek Premium or Tron or something newer. And so generally guests will play it, and I play it, but not as much as some of the other games. And I think the reason for that is it has somewhat shallow rule set. So we'll talk about this a little bit. So you got this Jedi, or this Force scoop rather, here on the left side, and then you've got Jabba's Bounty. Both of them have some hurry-ups associated with them. This game is well known for the center ramp, where and these drop targets to the left, and so you just sort of hit this ramp, and it goes around the back to this habit trail and drops into an in lane. And so that ramp shot is, at least in the stock firmware, a large source of points and highly repetitive. Of course, you've got an outer loop, and then you've got an inner loop that goes into a scoop that comes out of this V-up kicker into a vertical habit trail that drops into this in lane. You've got this real typical Data East gigantic pop bumpers, and then these static stand-up targets, the yellows and the reds there. On the theme and the design of the game, I think it has pretty good theming. It's very cartoonish, but in sort of a neat, almost comic-y homage to Star Wars. The sound is MIDI, but it's not annoying MIDI. Since the game was 1992, but again, it's not annoying like the Star Wars. I should mention. So there were several Star Wars pinball machines. There was a Sega that was built in, I believe, 97, 98 to come along with the Star Wars Trilogy re-release. It also has a MIDI soundtrack, and it was this one from Data East in 92. Then there's a Williams Pinball 2000 cabinet that we have as well. I can talk about that another time. But there's also an older electromechanical. And then at the time of this video, I guess there's some rumors that the new Star Wars there'll be probably a Stern release of the new Star Wars at some point. So Finally, I guess the most famous feature, the most common feature here is the center Death Star. See that yellow target? It's a stand-up that retracts down on a motor, and so you hit that target over and over again, and this objective map will complete up to this red area. Once it's completed, the target drops, and you ring the hole behind the Death Star there to activate a 3-ball multi-ball. And then during that 3-ball multi-ball, you have some bonus opportunities. So if you hit the door there on the Death Star again, because it's come back up, then the jackpot will light, and then you can activate the jackpot with the ramp, and you can chain those into multiple jackpot opportunities. So it's very standard, sort of very Data Easty machine. The back glass is very flashy. It will flash with different parts of the game, and it will actually go completely dark at certain parts of the game too, to highlight or to emphasize what's going on the playfield, which is pretty clever because it does at least reduce the glare during those times. The flipper is that, and I'm not really a fan of the Data East flipper design, but it's the same Data East flipper design where the stroke length is a little too long, so they their angle is relatively high when they're engaged, and so you can catch an inlane roll without really any a full speed inlane roll without really any skill at all. So you can cradle really easily with it, and that's what I found. I guess that the game is a pretty good ambassador to pinball for the 30-something crowd that I fall into that category of, people that remember these games from their childhood or whatever. But I don't think it's going to bring any new players, and I've noticed that, and at least in our environment here in our game room, that the somewhat shallow rule set tends to not attract long-term play. So of all of our games, I think this one is played the least, and I sort of struggle with the balance of the room that it takes up with the idea that maybe we could get something that would be more enjoyable for people to play, but then then that's all tempered with this sort of nostalgia factor of it's Star Wars and it's cool, and so there's all that too. So anyway, if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're into Star Wars, this is probably the pinball machine to have, at least right now. It'll be helpful to see what they come out with. And again, I think it's Stern. Maybe it'll be Jersey Jack, but I suspect it'll be Stern that comes out with the new Star Wars soon. But anyway, this is Data East Star Wars. We'll do some gameplay here, and hopefully you'll find this useful. If you have any questions, or if there's anything I can help you with, I'm sure wherever you found this video, there'll be a comment opportunity. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer anything I can. Thanks. So as the game starts here, you have this deal where you've got the scene from the Star Destroyer over Tatooine, and then you get this skill shot opportunity. And the skill shot is this TIE fighter that's floating in and out of your reticle that you shoot here. You get some bonus points. And this is how not to play. It looks like we just missed the ball save timer. We'll do better this ball. Death Star approaching. If you notice the blinking lightsaber arc light in the center of the playfield, this is running the 20th edition ROM, so it does have ball save. You have this carbonite animation, which is interesting because this carbonite animation is very similar in the Sega Star Wars trilogy as well. You might also notice the yellow blinking lights on the objective map around the Death Star moon as your ball count increases. So in the second ball, you get closer to that objective, and so your attendance counts if you make it to the third ball, which why wouldn't you? And you get an opportunity to try to hit the Death Star for the multi-ball. Another poor showing. We'll try to pick it up here in the third ball. One thing I do like the blacked out animations and light shows for a Data East machine. They are really good. Death Star approaching. And now that we're at the third ball, the music has changed and the crazy flashy lights are indicating that we can work on hitting the Death Star to activate Tri-Ball Multi-Ball.
Standing by.
So here during multi-ball, if we hit the drop target there on the Death Star, then we'll activate the jackpot on that center ramp. All of them we have to do is hit the center ramp itself, and then the Death Star door will come down, and then we have an opportunity to destroy the Death Star and collect the double jackpot. And these can be chained into more than one double jackpot. And if you manage to not have a seizure from all of the flashing lights, then during this gameplay, after you've destroyed the Death Star, then the success march from the end of A New Hope will continue to play, at least during this ball, while you continue your gameplay. When you complete both of C-3PO's eyes by hitting the inner lane, right lane scoop there twice, then you get this R2-D2 hurry up, and during this hurry up you're to hit the orbits to get some extra points from R2-D2. Not doing so well here though. And that's the match. So it doesn't look like we'll be winning any awards from this round, but I think we at least covered the multi-ball and some of the game features. So hopefully you find this useful. If you have any questions about the Data East Star Wars Pinball machine, please feel free to hit me up in the comments. Thanks so much for watching.